G'day guys. Look, today I'm going to just do a rough sketch on how I go about catching snapper in the Broadwater, and thought, anyone taking up bait fishing in the Broadwater and that, it's always nice to know a little bit of local knowledge. So I've been fishing here for about 20 years now, and I thought, being we haven't been able to get out this week, it's been shocking weather, very windy and that, I thought we'd just put up a video on how I target them. So always start off with my burley. I find that days that I go out without any burley and that, I just don't seem to do well at all. It's sort of imperative to do that when you bait fish. If you're using soft plastics and that, you can move around, there's no point in using burley, but when you anchor up and use baits, then you've got to be burling. I totally recommend always doing that. Now, I bought this little net off BCF years ago. It's only a little one, it just hangs over the back of your boat, and generally if I've got fish carcasses or things like that from previous days out, I'll always put them in there. But what I always buy, and I've been using these for probably about 10 years, I go to Woolworths and you buy these little cheap cans of tuna mints. They only cost you about 90 cents, and they really work well. You just open the can halfway, you put your knife in a little bit, not too much, then put it in the bag and put it over the side. And like I said, if you've got some fish frames or something, I put them in as well. You give it a few up and downs and you'll see the burley trail start out, and look, it does work. I quite often get the little sharks coming up behind the boat and that, so it's definitely doing its job. And in between that being in the back, I toss these things. I bought that, you buy this at BCF. I find these are a good one because it matches up with the burley mints. It's like a tuna fish pellet that you just throw over the side and they sink down, and they do their bit as well. And in between all that as well, I chop up, because I use a set of game hooks always between the other two rods that I have just with my mullet on. I chop up pilchards and I just cube feed those out as well. So it all helps, but I definitely believe that burley always seems to get the fish around, and it's something I've been using for years and it works well for me. Now with me tackle, I always use braid. I found over the years that I used to have shorter leaders, and I've got to the point now where I find whether the fish see the braid or they don't, that it's good to have about 3 metres of leaders, what I fish with now, to my braid, and then you've got your swivel and then a metre of trace. I use the same trace as this leader, but about 3 metres of it, and this is what they call black magic. Now, it's a good leader. It's a bit thinner than most other leaders that you get at 20 pounds, so that's the reason I use it. And like I said, I have 3 metres of that to a sink, to a swivel, to then a metre of trace to me hook. Now, depending on the tides and the moon phase and all this rubbish, the Broadwater can get very strong with its currents, and some days I fish out there, I use they've got a number 7 on the side of these round sinkers. I don't particularly like using this much weight, but sometimes you've just got to use the bigger sinkers to actually get them down, because it does go through the Broadwater quite quick. My favourite size sinker that I use is generally these little pea sinkers. I don't know what size they are, but they're great. I catch most of my snapper when I'm able to use these size. And that's, again, like I said, it depends on how quick the current is, and the new moon is less current, bit smaller tides, and you tend to do better with less lead all the time. And then basically I have these mustard 4.0 circle hooks, which I can't recommend strongly enough. They are a great hook. I've used them for years. When I do a lot of just catch and release, I only ever keep what I need to feed the family on the day, but they are a terrific hook. They always seem to hook them in the corner of the jaw, 90% of the time they do anyhow, and it's great for you to be able to release them easy like that, and it's always very good on the fish. So I strongly recommend, if you're using bait, to always use circle hooks. So I've got a bit of footage there on just a sounder with the bait ball and that I'll sort of show you in a minute, and you'll be getting an idea what to look for on your sounder and how you go about it. So, and then beacon to beacon map there, I've just marked some spots along an area that I do fish a lot between Sovereign Island and Tipler's Tavern, and I won't give away my good spots, but I've just roughly marked some areas there that you follow what I'm sort of doing, and if you can find these bait balls and anchor up and do the right thing, you'll generally come up trumps with the snapper. So this is the bait ball that we sort of generally look for. Can be anywhere between, this is in one of the deeper parts of the Broadwater, but can be anywhere. I fish between 15 and 30 foot of water, but this is the typical bait ball that I look for. And when I find them, I tend to go upstream from them, so the current's running back towards the bait ball, probably 70-80 metres or so. Anchor up, start my Burley bucket, and then we just wait and hope there's snapper around the bait ball and we get them on the feed. So that's basically what you look for, and if you find similar things to this, you can generally over time you come up with the odd day and you don't get any, but I generally do quite good with the snappers in the Broadwater. Now hopefully that's been a bit helpful, so you can go out and target some snapper for yourself. Another thing I must say, that it's a bit of a lost cause on weekends to do this. There's too much boat traffic and it doesn't help at all trying to catch fish, so I generally try to, being self-employed, take a day off during the week and go then. But anyhow, with that, tight lines, and I'll see you next time. Thanks for watching.